Sup guys, it's Alex here, and today I am filling out ESPN's Tournament Challenge Second Chance Bracket. Hopefully it goes a little bit better. This is for the Sweet 16. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how my tournaments, or my brackets are looking from the first Tournament Challenge. They're all doing pretty bad. This is the one I had on YouTube. I had Duke winning it all. That's in the 23rd percentile. My second best choices were at the 16th percentile. Alphabeticals in 5%, better records, and coin flip, those are doing pretty bad, but those were just like messing around. The at-large is doing pretty good. The no upsets is at 98%, but there's not a whole lot of points remaining. But then the last second one, which I made like 10 minutes before the tournament started, has 49%, but there's still a lot of points remaining. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out my predictions for the Sweet 16 using the Tournament Challenge Second Chance Bracket. Up here in the East region, I have Nigel Hayes, Bronson Koenig, and Ethan Happ moving past Florida into the Elite Eight as an 8 seed. They really impressed me against Villanova, and I think they'll be able to make it past Florida. And Baylor and South Carolina, I was really impressed with South Carolina. I didn't think that they'd make it past Marquette, let alone Duke, but they ended up upsetting Duke in a really good game. But I'm going to have to go with Baylor there. Jonathan Motley, they're just too good on the boards, and I think they're going to move on past South Carolina. And so in the West region, Gonzaga versus Press Virginia. They have been absolutely lethal in the press, and they suffocate the opposing offenses in the backcourt. But I really don't know who to go with here. The 1 seed Gonzaga or the 4 seed West Virginia. Gonzaga's been impressing me a lot though, with the big man down in the center position. I can't remember what his name is, so I'm going to have to go with them. Though I can easily see West Virginia winning that game. Xavier in Arizona. Xavier has, I want to say they have the star freshman. I can't remember if it was them or not, but they've been having a really good tournament so far. They beat the 6 seed Maryland and they destroyed the 3 seed Florida State to move on to the Sweet 16. But I'm going to have to go with the more consistent team, the Pac-12 champions, the Arizona Wildcats, moving on to the Elite Eight. Then we got the 1 seed Kansas versus the 4 seed Purdue with Caleb Swanigan. I really like Purdue, even though I had them losing to Iowa State in my bracket that I made on YouTube. But I'm going to have to go with Kansas here with Josh Jackson, Frank Mason. They're just going to be suffocating. They got off to a rough start against Michigan State, but ended up pulling away in the second half, and I think that's what they're going to do again. And plus, Purdue gave up a 19-point lead to Iowa State in the second half. Then Oregon and Michigan. This is another game that could go either way. I got right in predicting Michigan over Louisville, and they've been absolutely on fire. I got to see them play in Indianapolis against Oklahoma State, and that was an absolutely amazing game to watch. But I really like Oregon moving on here with Dylan Brooks. I think they're going to beat Derek Walton and DJ Wilson and the Michigan Wolverines and have their little Cinderella story come to an end. Though Michigan could win, there's been every single game I can see either team going either way. But I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan ends up winning that game. UNC and Butler. I think a lot of people are underselling Butler here, but I'm going to have to go with North Carolina winning that one. And then UCLA and Kentucky, I think that's going to be the game of the tournament. I don't think it's going to disappoint. There's going to be a ton of good freshmen out there, NBA draft picks like Lonzo Ball, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Bam Adebayo. I don't know if TJ Leaf is a freshman or not, but I know he's going to be in the first round of the NBA draft. But I'm going to have to go with Kentucky moving on here. If they can get Lonzo Ball into foul trouble, and Bam Adebayo now knows how to deal with TJ Leaf. He didn't really have the experience with the top matchup, but when they played UCLA, I think they're going to move on past there. And so for a spot in the Final Four, 8 Wisconsin versus the 3 seed Baylor. I actually have Wisconsin beating Baylor there. I think Baylor, I really don't like them as a team. I haven't been able to get behind them the whole season, let alone the tournament. I think I had New Mexico State beating them in the first round. I think I really like Wisconsin moving on here to the Final Four. I think they're a more complete team with depth. And then Gonzaga and Arizona. I have Arizona beating Gonzaga, though I can again see Gonzaga moving on there. Then over here, Kansas and Oregon. That's going to be another great matchup, but I think Kansas is going to move on. Oregon doesn't really have a whole lot of depth right now in their injuries. I think Dylan Brooks missed the first game, I want to say. I could be wrong on that, but I think Kansas is going to move on there. The North Carolina and Kentucky. I know Kentucky won 103-100 in, I think, the game of the regular season, and I think they're going to move on again. I know they struggled against Northern Kentucky a little bit, but then they were able to beat a very good Wichita State team that was underseeded, and then North Carolina struggled a little bit with Arkansas before ending the game on a 12-0 run. But I think Kentucky's going to move on there and be the second 2 seed in there. And so in the Final Four, we have Wisconsin and Arizona. I think Wisconsin's 8 seed run is going to come to an end in the Final Four, and Arizona's going to move on there. Kansas and Kentucky. I really want to pick Kentucky. They're my favorite team in the NCAA, but I'm going to have to go with Kansas there. That Kansas beat Kentucky at Rupp Arena earlier this season. and I think that Josh Jackson and Frank Mason are going to lead them to the victory over Kentucky. Though I'll be rooting for Kentucky in that matchup, and I'd much rather have them beat Kansas. And so in the championship game, we have Arizona as a 2 seed and Kansas as a 1 seed, and I think that Kansas is going to beat Arizona and become the 2017 NCAA tournament national champions. Hopefully there's not a scandal that comes out and it turns out that Josh Jackson had ended up actually threatening violence against that one lady, and the Kansas Jayhawks get their tournament or their championship taken away from them, and like in the record books and all that, kind of like what happened with Calipari and Memphis and all that jazz. So, but for this tournament's purpose, for the Sweet 16 purposes, I have Kansas beating Arizona in my championship game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Make your predictions, react to this, react to the whole tournament as a whole so far. It's been pretty crazy, I do have to admit. And as the final score, I'll probably have to go with Kansas winning 69-62 over Arizona. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you guys at the end of the tournament, or Final Four. I might make predictions on that. But thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe for more tournament coverage, and I shall see you guys later.